As promised, here's Jamie Noodles McLennan. We're jackets open.
Yes.
That's what
Casual.
we do.
I love it.
We like to keep it casual on this show. So we're just going to have a nice casual conversation about the Florida Panthers as they get past the Tampa Bay Lightning. They move on. They'll either face the Bruins or the Maple Leafs in the second round. This is a team that made it all the way to the Cup final last year, and we expected them to be in this position again, and here they are. How do they compare against the rest of the teams that are remaining in the East, in your opinion?
Well, they are Cup favorites if you take a look at the way that they're built. I mean, there's no weaknesses whatsoever. I mean, start with the coach. Paul Maurice has done a terrific job, him and his staff. But the spine of this team, start in the back end, goaltender Bob, your buddy.
Yep.
I mean, he's back in Vezina form. He's a Vezina finalist. He's been brilliant. On the back end, Forsling, Ekblad, Montour, they're mobile, they're mean, they're physical. And then up front, you've got Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Tkachuk, Tarasenko. They're deep, and I just talked about it. They've got some bite, some physicality.
Yep.
They're battle-tested. They made the finals last year. So they are going to be a hard out for anybody, whether it's Boston, Toronto. And listen, you got to give a lot of respect to the Rangers or Carolina, but those two are going to face each other. That'll be a battle. Somebody will tear a strip off of them. But I have to think that Florida has to be the favorite, along with the Rangers, to come out of the East. They've been that good. There's no weaknesses to that team.
Remember just a couple of years ago, we were talking about how untradeable Bobrovsky's contract was and what an albatross it was on this team. Now he's a Vezina finalist again. And then speaking of contract situations, you've got Steven Stamkos now. He'll be an unrestricted free agent. There were all those hard feelings at the beginning of training camp. He came out, said he was upset that they hadn't started negotiations. Where do you see this going with this team? Because this guy, by the way, Stamkos, and I know he's getting older, 40 goals, point-a-game player this year again. So it's a tough situation.
He's the face of the franchise, so it is a sensitive situation. But it's not like he had an off season. He had 40 goals last season. Now he's going to be 34. So if you look at the big picture, they've got to pay him for what he's going to do in the future, not what he did in the past. But I would argue that the decision around Stamkos is, and people are going to say, listen, this team is, the window's closing. I'm going to say that's not the case. You got a goaltender who's 29 in Vasilevsky, the guy who's going to probably win the Hart and Kucherov, who's 30, Braden Point, 27, Cirelli, 26, some players around him like Hagel, 25, who had 75 points this season.
Yep.
Sergachev is 25, Chernek's 26. Now, Hedman's 32, coming 33. This group still has a window. Now you've got to make the decision. Does Stamkos fit into that group moving forward? Now, the cap is going up. He makes $8.5 million. Are you going to take a little bit of a discount? No, it's tough for comparable, but I look at a guy like Andrei Kopitar, who went from $10 million to $7 million on an extension to stay, to be a part of a group moving forward. Does Stamkos do that? That's the multi-million-dollar question in Tampa. He's been the face of the franchise, but Julien Brisebois, he's made some hard decisions. This might be his toughest moving forward.
I mean, and he already has made a tough decision in the sense that he didn't negotiate with the Stamkos camp before the training camp even started, and kind of upset the player enough that the player came out and spoke publicly, right?
Yeah.
So he's already proven that Brisebois has that he's willing to make those tough decisions. It's funny you bring up the Kopitar discount, because if you look at what Stamkos is making now at 8.5, you can make an argument that a Stamkos discount would just be still making 8.5.
That's what it is. I mean, everyone talks about tax structure. Well, there's same tax structures in other states as well, but you've got a great setup. I still believe that Stamkos will get it done with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they will get something sorted out. It's just financially. Now, the cap is going up. Now, does he take a longer extension, almost like RNH? Now, you're not going to get 8 years out of it, but RNH in Edmonton wanted a number. He took the 8-year extension and just makes over $5 million. I still believe Steven Stamkos is worth every penny of what he makes right now, given that he got 40 goals last season. But bigger picture, what are you going to pay him for the next 4 or 5 years to stay, or do you move past him and use that money to shape around the spine of the team?
Man, it's going to be an amazing offseason all throughout the entire National Hockey League. If you could stick around, Noodles, because we look so good with our jackets open, I feel like we deserve one more chat, and I can't wait to talk to you about the Connor Hellebuyck situation, also a Vezina finalist announced on Monday, having a tough time in that first-round series with Colorado.